In Nos han dado la tierra, 4 men are given property by the federal government and must walk several days through the llanos to reach the land they are meant to settle. These 4 men are the supposed beneficiaries of land redistribution, a central outcome of the Mexican Revolution. For over a century before the Revolution, the legacy of colonial structures like the encomienda system had concentrated land in the hands of a few wealthy, mostly criollo owners. Land redistribution was meant to respond to popular demands such as those of the revolutionary icon Emiliano Zapata, who famously framed his call to action, Tierra y Libertad. The rural characters of Rulfo's short stories lack this historical consciousness, but offer vivid on-the-ground experiences. The narrator reflects on his encounter with the federal government official who gave them the land. Nos dijeron, del pueblo para acá es de ustedes. Nosotros preguntamos, ¿el llano? Sí, el llano. Todo el llano grande. Nosotros paramos la jeta para decir que el llano no lo queríamos, que queríamos lo que estaba junto al río donde está la tierra buena, no este duro pellejo de vaca que se llama el llano. Pero no nos dejaron decir nuestras cosas. El delegado no venía a conversar con nosotros. Nos puso los papeles en la mano y nos dijo, no se vayan a asustar por tener tanto terreno para ustedes solos. Rulfo's famous photograph entitled Nada de esto es sueño reflects dissonance between the promise of land ownership and the difficult reality of the inhospitable llanos. The harsh, dry plains are a physical manifestation of the broken promises of the Mexican Revolution. The official's indifference disabuses the characters of any lingering hopes for a more participatory, attentive government, a democracy. He repeatedly evades their concerns and kicks the 4 men out of his office. Y ahora, váyanse. Es el latifundio al que tienen que atacar, no al gobierno que les da la tierra. The men descend from el llano grande into the valley, where a village has already been settled. Conforme bajamos, la tierra se hace buena. Sube polvo desde nosotros como si fuera un atajo de mulas lo que bajara por allí. Pero nos gusta llenarnos de polvo. Nos gusta. Después de venir durante 11 horas pisando la dureza del llano, nos sentimos muy a gusto envueltos en aquella cosa que brinca sobre nosotros y sabe a tierra. Nosotros seguimos adelante más adentro del pueblo. La tierra que nos han dado está allá arriba. The story ends here, a juxtaposition of hope and disillusion. In their literary analysis, Paisajes de la Soledad, Barreto and Franklin explain how Rulfo's work exposes the reader not only to the nature of rural Mexico, but also to the silent and forgotten lives of its inhabitants. The Mexican llanos are a paisaje that is, in their words, an extended metaphor for the whole human condition. In an often quoted line from his other novel, Pedro Páramo, Polvo eres y en polvo te convertirás, Rulfo similarly equates the state of nature and the state of man. His photographs convey the connection between dust and death, but also survival in the llanos. Es que somos muy pobres is about the aftermath of a massive flood on the poor residents who live alongside the banks of a river. The narrator is deliberately male, the only boy in a family with 3 other daughters, and his story reveals sexism in Mexican society, but also the possibility of female empowerment. The narrator's 2 older sisters were kicked out of the house and are presumed to be working as prostitutes. His story focuses on the loss of his 12-year-old sister Tacha's cow, which was supposed to serve as her dowry and prevent her from following in the footsteps of her older sisters. Por eso le entra la mortificación de mi papá, ahora por la Tacha, que no quiera vaya a resultar como sus otras 2 hermanas, al sentir que se quedó muy pobre viendo la falta de su vaca, viendo que ya no va a tener con qué entretenerse mientras le da por crecer y pueda casarse con un hombre bueno, que le pueda querer para siempre. Y eso ahora va a estar difícil. The father believes that the pretty cow would have bought a happy marriage for his daughter, who must forfeit it along with her own body to the man she marries. Yet this is the family's highest aspiration for their younger daughter. Tacha's 12-year-old body becomes a sexual object in the eyes of her brother, the narrator, who says her breasts are growing como los de sus hermanos, puntiagudos y altos y medio alborotados para llamar la atención. He watches his sister crying, y Tacha llora al sentir que su vaca no volverá porque se la ha matado el río. Está aquí, a mi lado, con su vestido color de rosa, mirando el río desde la barranca y sin dejar de llorar. Por su cara corren chorrotes de agua sucia como si el río se hubiera metido dentro de ella. De su boca sale un ruido semejante al que se arrastra por las orillas del río, que la hace temblar y sacudirse todita, y, mientras, la creciente sigue subiendo. El sabor a podrido que viene de allá salpica la cara mojada de Tacha, y los dos pechitos de ella se mueven de arriba abajo, sin parar, como si de repente comenzaran a hincharse para empezar a trabajar por su perdición. The boy does not challenge sexism in Mexican society, but it is Tacha who becomes the river, a powerful force of nature that has upended her father's plan for her future. Other eco-critical scholars have read her fusion with the river as a reflection of a universal desire for the empowering union of man, or woman, with nature. Some of Rulfo's photographs portray women in empowered positions, their contorted bodies placed against the sky and dominating the natural landscape. One image offers an interesting parallel to Es que somos muy pobres. The male in the foreground beckons the viewer into the photograph, but the real source of intrigue is the three women in the background, whose true thoughts and expressions are obscured by the distance and left to the viewer's interpretation. El Llano en Llamas is about Pedro Zamora and his men, a guerrilla group that has adopted the rhetoric of the Mexican Revolution by claiming to fight against the ultra-wealthy. But in reality, they often engage in masculine violence with no apparent purpose beyond machismo theater, stealing women, and terrorizing the residents of El Llano Grande. Their final exploit causes a train to crash, killing all of the passengers. This triggers a crackdown by the federal government, which pursues the guerrilla group relentlessly until the last men standing, one of whom is the narrator, are forced to disband. La cosa se descompuso por completo desde el descarrilamiento del tren en la cuesta de Sayula. De no haber sucedido eso, quizá todavía estuvieran vivos Pedro Zamora y tantos otros. Los pasajeros empezaron a darse cuenta de lo que les pasaba cuando sintieron bambolearse los carros. La máquina seguía hasta que le faltó la tierra y yéndose de lado cayó al fondo de la barranca. Entonces los carros la siguieron uno tras otro a toda prisa, tumbándose cada uno en su lugar allá abajo. Después de todo se quedó en silencio, como si todos, hasta nosotros, nos hubiéramos muerto. Railroads dramatically changed the landscape of Latin America. In Rulfo's photography, trains and railroads are depicted overwhelming nature and bringing order to the land itself. In contrast, the undomesticated nature of El Llano Grande was the site of lawlessness and violent masculinity. It is no coincidence that the attack on the railroad led to the demise of Pedro Zamora and his men. The construction of the railroads during the Porfiriato was as much about bringing control to Mexico's rural lands as it was about connecting the nation post-revolution. Although national railroads have since fallen out of style in the Americas, at their height the trains represented modernity and the expansion of the frontier. Following a common pattern in Western and post-colonial Latin American literature, the domestication of nature appears to complement the so-called civilization of man.